Welcome to the PHNX Coyotes postgame show, brought to you by the one and only DraftKings Sportsbook app, America's top-rated sportsbook. Download today using code PHNX, and please like, subscribe, review, comment wherever you get your podcasts. I'm Leah and Craig, joined by Craig Morgan for just our sixth postgame show in which we are talking about a win of the season of 29 games. What a freaking game. That's all I have to say to start.
No, it was entertaining, wasn't it? It was a lot of fun to watch that game. And that's the kind of game I asked Clayton Keller about it afterward. Players love playing in games like that where it's open, there are chances, there are a lot of plays to be made. You have to give the Coyotes so much credit in this game. That they get hit with the COVID bug. They've lost 6 in a row already. Their confidence is not in a great place. They've got a bunch of call-ups in the lineup. They're behind in this game, and they come back and win it. That was a pretty cool win for the Coyotes.
Certainly. It was an emotional roller coaster for me. The Coyotes got, first of all, there was a fight 2.5 minutes in, which just came out of nowhere, but leave it to Liam O'Brien to stir something up. The Coyotes respond with a goal right away, then get scored against twice in the span of 57 seconds. And I thought, oh God, here we go. And then it was 3 goals. And I thought, and you and I were texting like, time to break out the wheel of fantasy, but no, the Coyotes said, hold my beer, not so fast. And then from there, it was just back and forth and just like an absolute roller coaster. But like you said, entertaining, even just getting to overtime, making it to overtime where, the Rangers game earlier this week, you thought it was going to go there and there was that late goal. So just to even be in the position to get a point and then to pull off the win when Keller had a phenomenal game tonight, it was just the cherry on top. So
yeah, so many things to talk about up in this game. Clayton Keller, again, we talked about consistency being the challenge for him, right? He's had stretches in the past where he looks like an elite player, but then he hits stretches where he's not impacting the game. For the most part this season, Clayton Keller's been a really, really good player. He's got, I think it's 22 points in 29 games now. Again, I think if he had a little better talent around him, that number would tick up just a little bit and people will be definitely taking notice of his production. But as I mentioned earlier, he hasn't had that period of time where he's dipped, that it's maybe a couple games, but then he finds it again. So he hasn't had those long dips. Again, we're only 29 games. So let's see, let's wait just a little longer before we render a verdict on that. But really, really encouraging signs from Clayton Keller. He's a guy who's imposing his will on the game in big moments, in consistent stretches. He's making a lot of plays. So that's a really good sign for the future.
Absolutely. Well, I guess we'll just skip right ahead to it while we're on the subject that Clayton Keller was our DraftKings King of the Game.
Let me put on my glasses so I can actually see. Okay, my discount.
Okay, discount Clark Kent is coming out after this graphic goes away. 2 goals, 1 assist, +2, 7 shots on goal. He was our King of the Game the other night also, and then had that one of the goals was the overtime winner. So, I mean, absolutely amazing production from him. And look, it's discount Clark Kent.
Hey, Leah, when'd you get here?
It's me. It's not Petey. It's me. I promise. Oh my gosh. So yeah, great performance from Keller. He was awarded the assist on Boyd's goal later in the game. They went back and added him to that. So just, amazing to see. And also we were talking about it in the chat, Craig, before you got here, just about how he and Schmaltz have been together and how ever since Schmaltz has been back in the lineup, it really seems like the two of them have some great chemistry.
The thing that Nick Schmaltz, I mentioned on Twitter that I had a really long talk with Connor Garland today. Whenever Connor Garland and I talk, we're like, yeah, we'll talk for 15 minutes. And I look at the phone when I get off and it's like an hour plus. I just love talking to the guy and he loves talking hockey. We were all over the map today, but he talks about Nick Schmaltz too. And one of the things he said is like, I don't know many players in the league that are as skilled as Nick Schmaltz lugging the puck through the neutral zone. And we've talked about this. That is the strength of his game. First of all, he carries the puck with speed, but he's really good at navigating the neutral zone with the puck. And that's such an important element to your offense. It's really showing. I think he's having an impact in his return to the lineup. He's not even playing the center position now, but as we know now, in the NHL, center's kind of a fluid thing anyway. It's really F1, F2, F3 now. Guys take over different duties in different areas of the ice. Nick Schmaltz is making an impact, and it's really helping spark their game, sparking Clayton Keller's game. I'll stop talking now.
For sure. Well, like you mentioned, there's a ton to talk about in this game, but let's just pull up tonight by the numbers. 6-5, 6 goals is the most the Coyotes have scored
27
this season. 27 shots. Their first shot of the game went in. That's not the first time that's happened. And a little 25% on the Coyotes power play, but once again, the penalty kill taking big hits. Anaheim 2 for 5. Nice to see those face-off percentage numbers a little bit more, even though with Larson coming back in the lineup tonight, it just kind of shows the importance of having that center depth. But just, man, there was just so much happened. I don't even know where to begin.
Yeah, speaking of center depth, Travis Boyd.
What a game for him. He was almost our DraftKings king of the game. I mean,
he's got 13 points now this season. His career high, I think, is 20. Right, the way he's playing, the opportunity that he's getting in this lineup, I think he's probably going to shatter that. And it's not just, it's not just getting the opportunity, it's executing on it. And listen, I'm not going to start saying that Travis Boyd should be a top 6 center in the NHL, but he's getting these opportunities. And tonight, I mean, a sauce pass right on the tape. Are you kidding me? That was a beautiful play. And literally just dropped it right on the tape for a tap in for Andrew Ladd. That's a great play. I asked him if he had to access his memory bank to even remember how to make plays like that, because he hasn't been in these situations since he was in the AHL. And he said, yeah, he had to go back a few years, but it's not like I never believed I could make those plays. It's just I haven't had the chance to. And as you start to do it more and more, you get more and more confidence. And really he's playing with some confidence.
It's so true. And when he scored that goal in the first period, he actually tied Keller for the team in goals, which I don't think any of us would have seen coming at any point. I mean, again, Keller surpassed him later in the game, but just still to be toward the top of the team's scoring depth, I don't think any of us really saw that coming.
When he came over, I reached out to a couple journalists in Toronto and asked about him, and basically was told, yeah, he's just a guy. He might be able to play 4th line center. He'll be in and out of the lineup, and that's all he can do. Well, Travis Boyd begs to differ.
We have a $5 super chat from Ruler14. Just saw on Reddit that ESPN said the Coyotes had no interest in blocking shots. We had 15 blocks to Anaheim's 5.
ESPN said that?
I guess.
Yeah. Okay. I missed that one. I was very keyed in on something else that ESPN said tonight that I was tweeting about, and we can talk about that.
That is true.
Or maybe we should just.
John said he heard Weeks say that.
I mean,
just go for it now, Craig. We're just hopping all around tonight. Let's
address the Jacob Chicken rumors in the story that I wrote the other day. Look, I know when Elliot Friedman weighs in on something, everybody's going to pay attention, but it's one paragraph from Elliot, so you don't get a lot of nuance. And listen, Elliot's a terrific reporter, and he's dialed in. But to say that they're gauging interest, I think, is a little misleading as to what's happening here. What happened is that initial report came out that the Islanders were inquiring about Jacob Chychrun, and they were told the price would be astronomical. So people will stop there and say, wait a minute, you mean Jacob Chychrun is actually available? Let me make this clear. There are only a handful of players in the NHL that are not available. If somebody makes an insane offer for one of your good players, you're probably going to listen to that, because it's your job as a GM to improve your team, to accomplish your goals. So if you think that offer will do it, that's your job. But what happened when that report came out is suddenly, oh my God, Jacob Chychrun's on the market. So every GM, I better make a call, because if he gets traded, if a player of his caliber on his salary at his age gets traded, and my owner comes to me and says, were you in on that? And I say no. The next question is, why not? So everybody's making calls. So, this is my understanding of it. And again, Bill Armstrong won't comment on this, but my understanding is that pretty much everybody's calling about Jacob Chychrun. That doesn't mean they're going to trade him. Now, if somebody comes out with that crazy offer, okay, maybe. But that's what it's going to take to move a player like Jacob Chikrin. And also, and again, I guess I'm just giving away everything that I wrote behind the paywall, but there's this rumor out there that he and his father were working with the agent. They had requested a trade. That's not true. It's just not true. That hasn't been the case. So it's just crazy how these rumors swirl out of control, Leah. It drives me crazy. But getting back to ESPN in this long-winded diatribe I'm on right now, both announcers casually throwing out the idea that Jacob Chikrin's on the trade block, not citing any reports, mind you. So at that point, I'm assuming from ESPN, which is a legitimate news source, oh, you've done some reporting. No, they haven't. They're just casually citing stuff that they've read. They didn't do the reporting themselves. They don't have a nuanced understanding of what's actually happening. It drives me crazy. And as I said on Twitter, I get that this is going to happen from lesser sites where the journalism standards aren't there. Somebody who hasn't talked to the GM, hasn't talked to anybody, is going to say, oh, here's what I think is going to happen with Jacob Chikrin. Okay, buddy, whatever. Who cares what you think? Because you don't know. But if ESPN comes out with this report, man, that's irresponsible. It's just irresponsible journalism. Do the work or cite the source. Don't just throw it out casually that, there's a lot of talk about Jacob Chikrin. Really? Like, according to whom? Not according to any work that you've done. So that's all I have to say on that one. But it does drive me crazy how often that sort of stuff happens.
Yeah. Craig, the chat, not just now. I'm just sorry. The comments are literally killing me right now.
Go ahead. We'll read some.
Okay. Well, first of all, $2 super chat from Sammy. Since when does ESPN pay attention to hockey? Since this year, Sammy.
Well, Sammy, I mean, technically since this year, but still not quite there. We'd like to focus on hockey a little more than they actually are right now.
Okay, and then I just have to get to some other super chats. Nick said, is the Ducks goalie going to be transferred onto the Coyotes as a power play forward?
I don't even know what to say to that one, Nick. I'm just going to laugh.
And then
$4.99.
And then Shane said, here's $5 because I'm a rich man now. And of course, Shane is referring to the fact, which let me just scroll up in the comments here, which he said about himself. I heard some cute guy took Coyotes money line live at the end of the first at plus 550. So he is donating his winnings.
Also referring to himself as a cute guy.
Yes. I mean, he said the least I can do is donate to charity. Oh my God. And that's what I was like reading as you were going on your ESPN diatribe, was just this like insanity happening in the chat. Oh my God. Well, just I guess while we're on this subject, we can talk about the fact that a lot of people probably made a lot of money from this game on DraftKings, especially if you bet the over.
Yeah, really.
And even the over started
11 goals in this game.
I know, and the over started at 5.5. When the game started, it moved up to 8.5, and even with that, you could have won some money. So, I mean, if you didn't do that, it was a missed opportunity because tonight was a good night to bet on hockey. And of course, we would recommend using the DraftKings Sportsbook app when you bet. If you sign up using the promo code PHNX and bet $1 on either team to score in an NFL game this week, you'll score $100 in free bets if they do this week at the DraftKings Sportsbook app. And just while we're on the subject of DraftKings, because we do our once a week DraftKings pick of the week, and normally Petey does it. So I had to take over today and I'll do my DraftKings pick of the week. And because so many I was going to do hockey, but they keep getting postponed, canceled. So I was like, okay, I'll just stick with what I know because I feel like I watch enough Cardinals to feel confident that the Cardinals are going to Cardinals minus 12 right now on the DraftKings Sportsbook app against Detroit, who's won one game this year. Cardinals coming off in kind of an embarrassment on prime time. So I know DeAndre Hopkins is out for the regular season, but I feel confident that the Cardinals will cover that minus 12.5. So that is my DraftKings pick of the week. Craig, I know you're not a bettor, but how do you feel about that pick for me?
Actually, really good about them. The Lions are god awful. Yeah.
Okay.
And I do think the Cardinals are going to rebound, even with D-Hop out. They'll win that game big. And by the way, and I think our staff is working on this. If they win that game, they'll be 8-0 on the road. And I was actually researching this because I was curious how many teams have gone undefeated.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Patriots are undefeated on the road this year too, but the Cardinals have a chance to go 9-0 on the road, which has never been done because of this, the added game to the schedule. So they could set an NFL record in an undefeated road season this year if they win their games at Detroit and Dallas this year.
Yeah, I think they actually talked about that on the PHNX Cardinals live show tonight too. So
yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I geeked out and actually made a graphic for them. So
I appreciate that so much. See, we're a family here at PHNX. We help each other out. So be sure to check out the DraftKings Sportsbook app this week. Sign up using the promo code PHNX and bet $1 on any team to score in an NFL game and get $100 in free bets if they do. That's 21 plus, Arizona only. Gambling problem, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP. New customers only. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Once again, the comments are killing me. Everyone's saying Boyd, the next Ted Lindsay Award winner. Oh, how about this for on the subject of ESPN and Boyd? The ESPN graphic showed a picture of Fischer instead of Boyd.
I know somebody else texted me that. Hey, listen, I don't want to bash ESPN too much, but yeah, somebody else did mention that. It's just, somebody sent me a text saying, boy, Travis Boyd sure looks an awful lot like Christian Fischer.
Nick said that wasn't an answer to his question about the Anaheim goalie playing as the Coyotes power play forward. So sorry, Nick.
Answer that one.
I'm sorry. I apologize, Nick. I don't know how to answer that better. Well, we said a lot happened in this game, and right now we're all over the place because it's just a lot. So let's just go one period at a time. How about that? So I mentioned the fight, I mentioned all the goals. And then so that 3 goals in 2 minutes and 54 seconds for Anaheim. I feel like this is a pattern for the Coyotes this season. Yeah. There's all these goals and these bursts, and it happened again kind of in the third period.
Andre talked about the first 10 minutes of this game being pretty ugly for his team, and he wasn't happy with them. Obviously, they get, you get the Travis Boyd goal on the first shot, and then it got ugly there for a little while. And listen, going down 3-1 to Anaheim, did anyone really think the Coyotes were going to come back and beat the team that's in first place in the Pacific Division?
I didn't.
But, I mean, credit them with it's a simple thing to say we stuck with it. They stuck with their system. And they did. I mean, you have to give them credit for not losing heart in this game. That's the thing that strikes me the most. You're in the position you're in the standings. You've lost 6 straight. You're on the road. You've got 3 guys out with COVID, other guys out with injuries. It's just a bad situation. And by the way, the guy that we just talked about in the other net is really good. So are you really thinking you can put a 6 spot up on him? I don't think so.
No, and that's something that the chat was saying also before you got here. Like, everyone was just shocked because Gibson has been one of the top goalies in the league this season. So, not only to beat the Ducks, who were, like you mentioned, leading the Pacific, but to put that many goals, which was the most. I mean, the Coyotes aren't known for their offensive output. I think coming into tonight's game, they were last in goals per game in the whole NHL. So,
yeah, this is a season high in goals, and they'd only reached 5 one other time in the win over Seattle. So, yeah, it's not a team that scores a lot of goals. I've actually been holding off on this number, and I have to see where it is after this last game. But like in the modern era, I was looking at goals per game for teams, and it was pretty scary. I think they were actually the worst goals per game in the modern era through 27 games it was. So we'll see how it shakes out in the end. It's not relevant until we get a little deeper into the season. But can you imagine a team averaging less than 2 goals a game? You're just not going to win much.
So we'll take these multi-goal games when we can get them as people watching. Christian Fischer, it's great to see him score on the power play. His 4th goal of the season, his first power play goal since January of 2018. And I know you had tweeted about him wanting more power play time.
Yeah, he's a net front guy, right? In that situation. So you have to be able to stand in there. You got to create screens and deflections, but it takes quick hands as well. When you get in a situation like that, where you get a rebound opportunity, you have to have quick hands. And, in the past few seasons, he hasn't been able to finish in those opportunities. He's had some chances, but he hasn't been able to finish those opportunities. He told me this offseason that he worked a lot, just on his hands, on improving that sort of play right in tight, because he thought he might get up more opportunities with the changeover in the roster, and he knew he needed to finish better right in front of the net anyway, because that's where he's going to have success. I mean, Rick Tocchet told him that a long time ago, that he could sort of do the same thing that Tocchet did in the league if he could learn to finish in front of the net. So an encouraging sign for Christian Fischer. Again, I know he wants to play more in those situations. He wants to play more, period. And it's not a guy that you ever worry about the work ethic, and you certainly don't worry about the excitement level or the energy that he brings to a team or to a broadcast when he's on.
Definitely. Also that penalty, I had so many like things written down about that first period. 24 total penalty minutes, and that was just with 4 minutes left in the first. So I don't even know, it was more than that. 4 fighting majors in the first period, just like insanity. And it was the Coyotes scoring 2 goals in the first was their most goals in the first period this season. There's another cringy stat, I guess. But I felt like the second period for the Coyotes was really kind of what allowed them to come back in this game. It was a steady period. Wedgwood had some incredible saves, and actually one of his saves was what led the play to turn around to get that pass up to Keller for that breakaway goal from Gostisbehere. So, I mean, that all started with the Wedgwood save. He really, I felt like, made some big saves in that second period.
Yeah, just period in this game. You look at the numbers and you say 5 goals. Wow, well, Scott Wedgwood didn't play well. Look at the first 4 goals. I mean, there were 2 unbelievable shots that just about nobody's going to stop, and then 2 weird deflections. I thought he played really well tonight, even though he gave up 5 goals. I thought he played, I think it was 37 shots, but man, he made some big saves in this game. It's not going to show up on the stat sheet, but it just, like I said, he just didn't have a lot of luck early on in this game. But this was a game where he played well enough to earn a win. So it's good to see him get that win, because he did play well enough. And by the way, he also broke out the new pads that I tweeted about the other day.
Undefeated in his new pads, Craig.
We're going with now. Yeah, and he'll probably turn around and say, yeah, but I have a 5.00 GAA. So
fair enough, but yeah. Undefeated in his new pads.
It matters. It's the wins that matter. I like them. I think most people actually that responded to that tweet like the pads. There were a few critics out there.
Of course, Grant it's Twitter.
Grant Lyon, but I wonder if Grant's on the show today. Grant's a goalie too, and by the way, we went back and forth, and then he tweeted his entire equipment ensemble to me, so now I know what he wears. But yeah, I love the new gear. He was nice enough to pull it out of his bag. Did I tell you this story?
Yeah, you told me, but you haven't told.
I haven't told our listeners. So we had after our show where we honored Bob and Steve Peters, we had a meeting. We had a meeting that we had to get through, and then I figured, hey, no problem. The Coyotes have moved their practice to noon. I could probably get there just a few minutes late, and I won't miss anything. I walk in. And I see Bill Armstrong, and he's like, "Oh, you coming for the last few minutes of practice?" I'm like, "It's 12:20, Bill. What are you talking about?" He goes, "Yeah, we're done." Okay. So I walk down to the hallway. I see Wedgwood, and he says, "You've been bugging me about my equipment every day. I finally wear it on the ice, and you're not here." So me being the pushy journalist that I was like, "All right, you got to pull it out of the bag for me so I can photograph it." And he did, because he's a goalie. He's a nice guy.
And also that's the sort of content that you provide for the PHNX readers and listeners. Correct?
I like that stuff. I think it looks good. And he said his mask will be here next week. David Gunnarsson's painting it right now in Sweden, but he would not give me any hints as to the design.
Okay. I mean, I said that jokingly, but people genuinely have been asking about his equipment every single day. So... You know,
it's a big deal, and it's cool. Listen, it's, it's not often like in professional sports that you get to have that sort of expression of who you are. It's art. It's a form of art, and not a lot of players get to do it. Can you think of another example? Like I guess tattoos are sort of that, but to do it on your actual equipment, goalies really get to have a lot of fun with their equipment.
I think maybe like an NBA player's shoe would be the only other like thing I can think of off the top of my head.
Yeah.
Chris says goalies are God, right, Craig?
Yes, that's true.
There's too many goalies on this beat, I swear. Oh man. Well, then in the third period, another too many men on the ice call. The Coyotes continuing to take penalties, still the highest penalized team in the league. It's so frustrating, and those bench minors are even more frustrating. And to see two in a row, I mean, luckily it didn't derail the game too much, but
Yeah. I don't, if I were a coach, I'd probably have like a kangaroo court, like a fine every time that happened. Like, come on, seriously? And listen, there's some close calls. Like we talked about it the other night against the Rangers. I thought that too many men on the ice was too close a call to make in that situation, tie game late. But it's just careless. Come on, just do the right thing in that situation. Don't get that call. The thing that bugged me more is another offensive zone penalty tonight. The Coyotes are leading the league in offensive zone penalties. You can get away with defensive zone penalties in the eyes of your coach because you're saving a goal, or even if it's a neutral zone, you're stopping a rush, right? That's going to create an odd man rush, something like that. But an offensive zone penalty is just, it's either careless or it's frustration because you just missed a scoring chance, so you took it out on someone. You can't take those penalties that far away from your goal and give another team an opportunity on the power play. It's just it just can't happen.
yeah. And then in that third period, 2 goals from the Coyotes in 1 minute and 6 seconds. Ladd from Boyd and Labushkin, Kessel from Boyd and Strawman. I mean, Boyd, once again, we talked about him a little bit earlier, but just a great game from him, a great game from Keller, a great game from Kessel. Someone had mentioned earlier that Kessel's trade value, it's like been like this all season. But I think after tonight, it's kind of, again, maybe. We'll
I
see.
think Phil takes a lot of criticism, obviously. I think Phil, for the most part, has played pretty hard this year. And look, you can be the cynic and say, well, yeah, that's because he wants out. And it's true that he would like to go to a situation at the end of his career where he can compete on a playoff team. But the other thing about Phil is it's not like he's a problem to his teammates. His teammates love him. Like Clayton Keller loves him. Guys in that locker room love him. He's a fun guy to be around. Is the off-season workout regimen always on point? Probably not. But Phil's a fun guy to be around. And like I said, for the most part, I think he's played pretty hard this season. That deal is going to come at some point, Leah. Again, we're probably talking trade deadline that's going to happen. But I think somebody will look at Phil Kessel and say, yeah, I mean, he can help our power play. And in a short run in the playoffs, he's had a lot of success in the postseason. That's a guy that we'll look to add.
Craig, I don't know if you know the answer to this question. This might be a question for Petey when he comes back, but is there a player who is the fine master, keeping the other guys in check and fining them if need be?
Wait, what master?
The fine master. Like you're the one in charge of handing out the fines.
No, I don't know if they have that sort of thing, the kangaroo court. I could ask. I mean, like Christian Fischer would probably tell us everything we wanted to know about that. And I would actually put him in charge of it, right? Because he'd be a really good guy to have in charge of it.
That's true. And then this question from James. Craig, you asked Keller the other day about his game. Do you think he's hitting the mark he wants to be at?
Hitting the mark in terms of production? I mean, I think for the most part, like I said earlier with Kels, he's been consistent. I mean, he's had a couple short patches where he's off his game, but it hasn't been that extended thing. Everybody's going to have off games. You can't go 82 games where you're just on it unless you're Wayne Gretzky. It just doesn't happen. But Clayton Keller, I think, has been far more consistent through 29 games. Again, 29 games. That's not even half a season yet. So slow your roll in declaring that Clayton Keller has arrived. But
the pace he's on has been more positive.
Yeah.
The pace he's on the roster that he's on as well. I mean, it's not like if he was on a
I don't want to take
roster
anything away from the game because he's doing what he needs to do through 29 games. He's doing it. So keep it up. Sustain this. Show us you can do this to like the 50, 60 game mark. And then people are really going to take notice that Clayton Keller has arrived.
Yeah, I hope so. Well, okay, here's another question. We're just jumping around with questions, but Craig, any latest on the COVID stuff since last time you've talked? A lot of teams going crazy with COVID. I mean, it just seems like every day this week, I think it was something like 85 or 86 NHL players are in COVID protocol right now. 3 teams are on pause until after Christmas: Florida, Colorado, and I think Calgary was the other one. But Yeah, 85 NHL players in COVID protocol, 14 games postponed already in December.
Yeah.
So any update on that with the Coyotes? I know that Galchenyuk got added to the COVID protocol today. Jay Beagle and Lawson Krause are there as well.
Well, they're going to stay in Anaheim, and Andre said after the game they're going to fly on game day, which is really unprecedented. You don't want to do that to a team normally, but they're going to fly on game day to Vancouver because what they want to do is they want to test before they go, because you don't want a player going up there then testing positive, because then he's stuck in Canada. He can't come home.
Yeah.
So it's a really weird situation. And I mean, the league really needs to think about this too, because we might get one of those situations. And then what do you do? It's a crazy situation. I don't know how to manage that. You can't go back to the all Canadian division at this point, but they are going to wait and then fly up and then just turn around and go right back to Seattle.
Yeah.
But that's where they're at right now. When I talked to Connor Garland, he said, we haven't practiced in 6 days because they're trying to keep us away from each other as much as possible. And I'm like, you've won 6 straight, so you probably don't mind. He's like, no. We haven't played well in the last 2 games. We're really lucky to win those last 2 games.
Oh my God.
But they're trying to keep them apart because they're being as cautious as possible. So it feels like we're at this tipping point right now. I don't know where it goes. It's so fluid and things change every day, but it feels like we're at a tipping point.
Wow. And a follow-up question. Why does the NHL not just waive the 1-game wait requirement for the roster emergency exception before they can call up AHL players for COVID outbreaks?
I don't know. You would think they'd want to do it in this case, right?
Yeah. 2 Coyotes call-ups today. We didn't mention that. And Blake Spears and Michael Carson, and Blake Spears was in the lineup today. Drew was penalized on one of those. So probably not the game that he wanted, but
yeah. I mean, definitely lost in the shuffle. But I was looking at that earlier. When you look at the call-ups, and I don't know where you classify Barrett Hayton in terms of call-up, but he was with Tucson. He had like 7 call-ups in the lineup tonight, and they scored 6 goals against the Pacific Division leading Anaheim Ducks.
That's just the season that, like, the Coyotes, the games that we think, oh, maybe they'll win, they don't. And then they beat like Winnipeg, St. Louis, right. Anaheim. Like, it's just so bizarre. But hey, we'll take it. Here's another question. Craig, from Shane. Craig, any latest on the heater me and Johnny are on? Well, first of all, Shane, bad grammar. Johnny and I. Come on.
Heater?
They're doing well with their bets. Okay. He's asking for your comment.
Oh, your lingo, Shane. See, I'm of the generation of your parents, who I know very well. And by the way, do they know that you're on this show right now, Shane? Do they know what you're doing with your time right now?
Well, if you're not watching Shane and Johnny on the PHNX Bets Daily Show, it's Monday through Friday at noon every day. They've actually have been kind of on a heater. So if you want to check that out, do so on the PHNX Sports YouTube. It's a really funny show too. And then when you download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use the code PHNX, get your $100 in free bets. And if you're just new to betting, let them guide you. Because they really know what they're talking about. And as much as we joke about it, like, they really do. So I go to them for advice all the time. See, look, you said that about the practices. Then he saw they were playing the Leafs and he just bet on the game, because this is what happens. But
hey, did you want to just join us on the show? I mean,
yeah, Shane, I'll send you the link to join.
By the way, did Johnny have his kids on the show today?
He did. So his daughter made an appearance on Bets, and then also an appearance on the Cardinals show. So, man, just, what we always say, PHNX is a family. A lot of people also today have been tweeting at us that their shirts have shipped. So super excited about that. If you haven't seen our shirts, check out the PHNX locker. Here, I'll just show you our shirts. Here's our new shirt.
This to me is like, I think I described this as the Grateful Dead shirt, but it's awesome. I love this shirt. And actually, I have to whisper this because my daughters are nearby. I bought this for them for Christmas.
Oh, it's a good gift.
I mean, this is like the stocking stuffer for them. So.
Okay, that's a good gift. And then also Cody the Coyote in new colors as well. So if you haven't checked those out on the PHNX Locker website, do so. If you sign up for an annual membership, you get to choose a shirt of your choice that comes along with that membership. So, a great deal. And then you get access to all of Craig's stories where he debunks Jacob Chikrin trade rumors and more. But you had mentioned you talked to Connor Garland for an hour today. So that story will be coming out this weekend. You can only find that at gophnx.com. By becoming a member, you'll get access to all those stories, and not just Craig's stories, but all of the stories from all the phenomenal writers at PHNX as well. So be sure to do that. We also have our members only Discord where Craig and PD and I are in there pretty much almost daily chatting with everyone. So we love to have everyone be part of the family, and, just having everyone here on it's literally almost midnight on a Friday night.
And look at all the people we have.
And there's 49 people here right now. Thank you all so much. That means so much to us. Bees saying, we talk about how awesome Leah's Christmas tree is fantastic. Thank you so much, Bees. It is also a real tree. Craig, do you do a real tree?
Well, how a real tree? You're going to start me on another diatribe here.
A tree that came from being in the ground, not from a box.
But a tree that is now dying, right?
No, it's not.
Wait, do you have the one with a ball that you're going to plant it afterward?
Oh, you mean it's now dying as in I'm going to go dump it in Cactus Park like after Christmas? Yeah.
Right. You're just gonna dispose of it, right? Just gonna cast it aside after Christmas. Now that you've finished killing it and displaying it. Yeah. I mean, it's basically like hunting and putting a head on your wall, Leah. So this is all the stuff that I do. This is all the stuff that I do to Tara. My wife insists on having. She calls it a live tree. I call it a dying tree.
Craig, that is so negative.
We've killed it, and we've stuck some stuff on it for a couple of weeks, make it, oh, look at all pretty, and then, okay, we're done with you, put you on the curb, and they'll come and haul you away. It was once life, but now it's dead.
Oh my gosh.
I like the smell of.
I love the smell.
Dying tree, but. That's great.
Tim said, watching a plant die slowly in your living room is a wonderful tradition.
That is perfect. That is perfect. That's exactly it, right?
I'm literally dying. The chat's
so, I mean, there's the other side of it, like fake trees I have no idea what those are made of and what sort of environmental impact they have, but I don't know. I feel guilty every time. Look at Harvest in all caps. I feel guilty every time we bring this tree, and I'm like, I'm sorry. You were once alive. You were once growing in a forest.
But what do you think goes into a plastic tree?
Yeah, I mean that's not great, but I'm not a murderer like you, Leah.
Should I just project the image of a tree on the wall? It's not the same vibes. Shane, go to bed. Leave me alone.
It is literally dying. You're right, Shane. Dying.
Oh my God.
Wait,
I feel attacked.
If we're quiet for a moment, we might even be able to hear it.
Stop. Let that. Oh my God.
It is seriously, it's late and we're being wacky now.
Joel said, I don't even need Christmas to watch plants die in my house. Oh my God.
Can I tell you what's happening in my house, by the way? So I'm bad at study, and I don't have a tree behind me. I have this picture of Wrigley Field that you can barely see behind me. I went to a party for a friend who Paul Coro. Some of you know him. Paul Coro almost died. A journalist that I worked with for a long time. I had to go to his party. I had to see him. It was good to see Paul alive. I love Paul. He's a good friend. So I went from there. However, while I was at the party, my wife was welcoming my family into our house for a holiday party. I arrived home, said hello, and then came back to watch the game and then to do this show. So I wouldn't say I'm in good standing right now. It's not like I could help it. I had to work tonight. I had to watch the game, and I did go out in the intermissions to say hello to everybody. But it was pretty much, yeah, Tara was running the show tonight.
Well, shout out Tara. I just need to scroll up because there was a comment way earlier. Here we go. Just kind of changing the subject from Hunter. This one was for Petey's dad. That's what I feel like too. Again, thank you to everyone who has reached out with their love and support for Petey. We've spoken to him. It really means a lot to him. If you missed the video that was put together by all of the former Coyotes and PHNX staff over 24 hours, that was on our live show Thursday, where you can find it on the PHNX Sports YouTube. I would highly recommend watching it there. It's pretty much like the whole thing is just person after person after person. Speaking to Petey, talking about his dad, is talking about Petey, and it just speaks to the person that he is. So, we've missed having him here this week. He's with his family. He'll be back next week. But thank you again to everybody for the outpouring of love and support for Petey this week.
By the way, to piggyback off of that, this win as well, shout out to Matt Schott, who we had on this show earlier, who's battling. He's in a battle with cancer right now. You all know it because he was there on Hockey Fights Cancer Night. He's in a tough battle right now. So shout out to Matt Schott. This win, I think that I actually know that several Coyotes sort of dedicated this one to Matt Schott as well. So
that's really special. Yeah, that's really special. Well, we can wrap this one up. It's getting late. Like we mentioned, the Coyotes are headed to Vancouver. Fingers crossed. Hopefully Sunday. Vancouver had not the best season so far, but ever since Bruce Boudreau stepped in, they've won 6 of their last 6. Still 7th in the Pacific, but at this point, if the Coyotes can beat the first place team in the Pacific, I feel like why not stop the 6-game winning streak?
Vancouver's on a back-to-back too, so that'll be the second game. And Connor Garland's not happy about that, by the way. He wanted to have a full tank for the Coyotes. So
yeah, I'm sure that game's going to mean a lot to him in OEL as well.
Definitely.
So
you bet on that.
Yeah, for sure. And also, I was mentioning this in the chat earlier about this game. So it's the Coyotes' 6th win. They snapped their 6-game losing streak. And what was my other 6? It was like 6-6-6, something bad. And I was like, I don't like this.
It's the goals. 6
goals. That's it.
Wait,
yes.
6-6. Do you have a picture of a goat?
No, but somebody already said earlier, where's the picture of the goat for Craig? Oh, here it is.
See, you just send it to Mac.
Yeah. Craig hates goats. And if you want to know the story, listen to the PHNX Sports podcast from this week, because that is what I learned about Craig and Michaela this week.
Yeah, Michaela, our childhood stories of goats, our traumatic childhood goat stories.
I promise it's relevant to sports.
Yeah, in a very loose way, but yeah, it is.
Well, Craig, any other final thoughts from tonight's game or any upcoming games or anything going on while we're here?
I'm blown away by this win tonight. It's a really surprising win, and I'm sure they're feeling good right now. And listen, we all know how the season is going to play out by and large, but it's good for these guys to get these sorts of moments, just to, I guess, just a reminder of what it feels like, and it just shows that they're still committed. They're still working for it. They haven't given up, and that's hard to do when you're in this situation. So enjoy the win. Enjoy Southern California. They get to stay there instead of going up to Vancouver, where it was apparently a blizzard today. So
great. Well, I love that for them. I really do. Another entertaining game for all of us here to watch. Great to see a game with a lot of offense, even though they also had 5 goals against. But, all you need is one more goal, and they had it tonight. So a great showing all around. So it was a little bit more fun for us. Again, thank you so much all for being here. If you're listening on audio, head over to our YouTube channel and subscribe, hit the bell to get notifications. If you're watching us live right now and you're not subscribed where you get your podcasts, please like, follow, and give us a rating and a review. Everything is super helpful to us. You can follow each of us on Twitter at Craig S. Morgan, at Leah Merrill, and you can follow Petey at S. Peters Hockey and our beat account at PHNX_Coyotes. Thank you all so much for being here so late. We appreciate you all. Let's start another streak here. Not a losing one. Let's go on a winning streak. And we will see you all Sunday night as well. Have a good weekend, everyone.